Hey guys, so today I'm going to make a quick video because I just wanted to talk about a headline that I saw, and I don't exactly have that much to say about it, but I guess I have a couple thoughts, and I feel like, even though I guess I don't have much to say about it, I feel like the direction it points to is really important to think about. So, the headline I'm talking about is Israel bars UN Secretary General from entering country. So this, in short, kind of, represents I guess, the bleeding edge of, a dynamic which has seen Israel more and more fervently rejecting the international community. Of course, Israel is committing a genocide, and the international community is not happy about that. But Israel would like to continue doing that, and the United States would like to let them continue doing that, and Israel is very upset that the rest of the world doesn't, want to let them do that, and is interested in using the UN to try to at least signal that what Israel's doing is wrong, and that they think they should put a stop to it. Now, this is very interesting, particularly from the perspective of the US, because, of course, the UN isn't so much an international organization so much as it is an institution of Western imperial power, which puts primarily the US at a pinnacle of, power, and allows their interests to be upheld and enforced across the world. That obviously becomes very important if a wider war breaks out into a world war, because the US will try to use every element of its imperial power to fight such a war. This creates a very difficult diplomatic situation for the United States because, of course, they want to support Israel, and they see that as essential, clearly, to the point of starting World War III over it. Someone just pulled in. This obviously creates a very, difficult position for the United States, which would like to support Israel and would like to take Israel's side no matter what. They'd like to act as a coalition, clearly, even up until the point of expanding war. But with an eye to that expanding war, they also want to be able to keep the UN as, their own pet institution that they can enforce their own interests through. And a part of that, obviously, has always been allowing them to vote to create resolutions and vote, for instance, against Israel and against genocide in Israel, for instance. Of course, Israel doesn't want that. Israel is completely uninterested in acting like a normal state that should be held in check by normal rules. They're interested in enforcing their will no matter what. And so any check on their will is seen as a threat to Israel. And so, yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to make this video about, is just to say that this is a really interesting and difficult position that the US is in. And I guess I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go. I guess I see there as being two kind of general outcomes. One is that the United States just backs Israel to the hilt and decides to let the UN kind of crumble, in order to keep their, coalition that they see as more important, I guess, together and follow Israel into World War III. The second option is that the US and Western imperial structure sees that as unfeasible. It's possible that when it comes down to it, if it really is world war where the US backs Israel against, whoever. It depends on how strong the international coalition is ultimately. Because if the US doesn't feel like they can sustain going against the anti-Israel coalition, if that happens to be an amount of the world that the US can't disassemble itself from, then it might happen that the US is forced to, follow with the anti-Israel coalition and to eventually stand on the other side of Israel and say, you have to stop. I don't think that could possibly happen until it became a genuine world war until it was a question of if China was going to get involved. Because, of course, the US could survive a lot of countries being against it and on the other side of a war. But if China was, purely for economic reasons, if China pulled out of our economy, if we lost our economic ties with China, our economy would collapse. We don't make anywhere near enough of the stuff that we need. If China says, we're in a war, we're not giving you this stuff. If we say, we're in a war, we're not going to take Chinese stuff, in case they put bombs in the pagers, just like Israel fucking did. There's no way we could do that. And so, I guess those are the options. It's either if World War III ends up, occurring because of the Israel war, either the US follows Israel and almost immediately collapses and is fighting a doomed war that it could never possibly succeed in, or it recognizes that it couldn't succeed and it abandons Israel, and World War, maybe kind of doesn't pop off totally because the US realizes that it's impossible. I don't know if the institutional decision-making apparatus is that smart. Surely there are people within it that are smart enough to know that, but I don't know if they would be able to make that decision. It's very possible that we end up just following Israel and, like every other, sputtering empire, fall into a war that eventually dooms us. And, well, I guess we'll just have to see. But anyway, I kept this one short for you guys. Love you. Make sure you like and subscribe. That would help a lot. Appreciate you guys.